Hello and welcome to another fantastic and exciting episode of the podcast from Firetop Mountain. You are joined today by Alison, Cybe and Stuart, Lloyd, two experts in the realm of the fighting fantasy game book. Stuart, would you like to say hello?
I think I would, yes. Hello.
There we go. Lovely. That's a good hello. I like it. It's very strong and confident.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Well, when I like to say hello, I really go for it. So that's important.
Oh,
Yeah.
heck yeah. We're going to need some confidence today as we are charging into one of the later books in the original run of the Fighting Fantasy books. One which I don't think has been reprinted before, Siege of Sardath. Can you confirm for me, has it been reprinted? Because I'm not sure if it has, now that I've said it.
I can confirm it hasn't, because I think the only ones that have been reprinted have either been by Steve Jackson, Ian Livingstone, or Jonathan Green.
That's interesting. Do you think there's some licensing involved with that?
Possibly. I guess. I know. Yes. Yeah. I guess so.
That might be something I can look into at some point. If any of our listeners do know about that, then do by all means leave us a comment. We would really like to hear, and could save me doing a little bit of research as well. So yeah, how did you find the Siege of Sardath?
Well, I loved it. There's lots about it that I really do love. It's very different from other fighting fantasy books. That being said, I did die quite quickly the two times I tried it, but yeah. I can still appreciate it for what a work it is.
Yeah, it is quite tricky as well. Like you mentioned, it's quite savage. Did you have a copy of it when you were a kid?
I did, yes. I love the copy of it. I've still got the original copy I had when I was a kid as well, so I've not had to re-buy it.
For your playthrough of it for the podcast, was it the same copy?
It was, yes.
Nice. Yes, I like that. I still have the same copy of Vault of the Vampire, which was the first fighting fantasy book I ever got when I was, I think, 7-8 years old.
Oh wow!
It's still the exact same copy, and some horrible people have signed their names in it, which is just like you really can't do that to books. You know, it's just like going around writing your names in them. I can't make it out. It's Steve and Ian something or other. I'm not sure.
They're vandals. I know them. They do it all the time.
Terrible. Yeah, they did the same thing to my new 10th anniversary copy of Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Shocking behaviour.
Yeah, no consideration. If you ever see Steve and Ian with a pen, we should stop it immediately.
Oh yes, absolutely. Although in the at the time of recording, we have just heard that they are picking up a few pens fairly recently, because there have been 2 new Fighting Fantasy books announced at time of recording.
Exactly. Yes, they're going to write 1 each. So that is awesome. I'm trying to remember what the names are. One's got the word giant in it. So there we go. A Shadow of the Giants. So that's it's in Firetop Mountain again. So there we go. That's by Ian Livingstone. He loves Firetop Mountain.
Oh, the classic. Yes.
Yeah. And then there's Jackson's book, The Secrets of Salomonis, which is pretty good. It's quite good because Salomonis doesn't really get much focus in the game books. It seems like a quite nice, peaceful, well-run city. So from the sound of it, Salomonis sounds like a boring place, but it's obviously got a secret, which means it's not quite as boring as it sounds.
When I'm talking about settings in the books, where is Siege of Sardath set? Do you know?
Oh, it's set right up north in the in the frozen mountains and the coniferous forests, near Zengis, which is quite a northern town. But you don't go there. You're in a little town called Grimond.
Yeah.
And yes, and I do love the book, but Sardath is on the map, although you never actually go there. In fact, you can try and cross a lake to Sardath, but you don't really see the siege or Sardath very much.
Still good though. Still good.
It is still good.
Yeah, you mentioned you have the same copy from when you were a kid. I never had it when I was a kid. I had to specifically track it down, and to be fair, I know I shouldn't have. I don't think the cover really caught my attention when I was a youngster. It just didn't jump out at me. And I might be misremembering it, but I don't think the blurb on it did much to spin the imagination. I would say, having read it, I definitely missed out, because this was quite fantastic. For those who are watching us on YouTube, you can see the cover, which we will put on the screen. It should be on the screen for you now. As you see, it has a rather well-dressed elven type chap, possibly a vampire, possibly an elven vampire, I'm not sure, striking a rather dramatic pose.
Yes, he's pointing at you. In fact, you know what? He reminds me of like a dark elf Lord Kitchener. He's saying, we want you to play this book. So yes, he's very well dressed. You don't see much of him in the book, I remember, because I never got that far. But he's a very good villain in the sense that he's always plotting. And I'm just looking at the blurb again. It doesn't really go into all the best bits of the book. It kind of gives the impression that you're sort of trying to, you're like a nature hero. It's about you're trying to sort of save the balance of nature, which, you kind of like that at the beginning because you're a ranger, but it sort of turns into fighting an army of dark elves.
It really does, yeah. It's a big change as it kind of sweeps through the narrative there. Talking about how it changes, one of the things that I did notice is that it has a kind of time system based around the day of the week. You're also given a bunch of herbs to use to heal yourself instead of food.
Yes.
Which is nice, yeah.
Yes, I like that idea. I think in the later books, some of the authors picked up on the idea that maybe a loaf of bread doesn't actually cure you of being hit by a sword twice.
What, really?
Yes. I mean, yeah, I think, a can of baked beans helped me grow a leg back earlier today, but...
that's always good.
Yeah, but... I think they were trying to go for something a bit more realistic. So putting some herbs on your wounds sounds slightly more realistic than eating a loaf of bread after you've been hit by a sword twice.
And it's kind of keeping with the whole like earthy nature hero kind of vibe. I kind of likened the character to being a bit like a ranger. One of the things you're given in the book is a bow with your arrows. You can, I think, before combat, like regular combat began, you were able to roll a few times to see if you could get a few extra shots in at the enemy before they could hit you, which I did like. That was fun.
It is fun as well, and also if you miss with an arrow, you can test your luck to change the miss into a hit. Just in case you come across a situation where you have to hit someone with an arrow to win, but if you fail, it's an instant death.
Which was nice.
Yes.
So Sardath, the city itself, it's an elven city surrounded by a forest. Not just any forest though, an evil forest, kind of like the Forest of Doom. But I think most of the forests in the Final Fantasy books are evil forests. Can you really say a forest is evil?
It seems to have evil inhabitants. Yes. I mean, they don't like this. There's lots of spiders in it. Well, I guess the spiders get a bad rap. I mean, they're only doing what spiders do, really, aren't they?
I think so, yeah.
So, yes. Although, I would like to mention something. I've got into Minecraft in recent years, and apparently forests there are evil because they let the zombies roam around because they don't get exposed to sunlight. Yeah. So
that's certainly not ideal.
No, but yeah, I mean, I suppose it's evil from a human point of view because those cheeky animals that you want to share the forest with just keep on trying to eat you, which is. But as a ranger, you've come to appreciate the forest and its living things, so you don't really see it as evil.
No, we're at the start of the adventure, like you mentioned, situated in another nearby city, and we're asked to go and help out the elves. from a bit of a predicament they've got, don't they?
Yes, exactly. And then they ask you to come because you seem to be friends with everybody. So the elves, the dwarves, the slick, which are sort of amphibious creatures. Yes, but the elves have abandoned the elf paths. So it seems like giant spiders have gone a bit too. They've got a bit more brave in the recent few weeks.
Oh, those giant spiders.
Yes, I know those cheeky giant spiders. Yeah, no sort of big vials of things that make light to repel them in this one, I'm afraid. But
sadly,
yes. So you get your message, don't you? And then you go to a lovely council meeting.
Yeah, the council was called, in which we discussed just who we were going to send to help the elves with their bit of a spider problem. A messenger turned up, just recently arrived, asked to speak to me.
Yes,
and by me I mean the illustrious hero that we were both playing. So shall we say us?
Us, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Who's also a council member in Grimman. This hero's got a lot of feathers in their cap, which is kind of appropriate because they're in a forest with a bow. So yeah. And I've just realised the messenger's called Morn, which is awesome. Which is reminds me of Morn from
Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, we cannot hear the name Morn without thinking of our illustrious person propping up the bar.
Well, exactly. But he just took over in later seasons. You just couldn't.
Oh God,
get an urgent word to it. Oh, it's terrible.
Had a few episodes like entirely around him. This one, Morn the Messenger, didn't. He was an evil duplicate who tried to kill me.
Exactly. Yes. That's a start.
Don't like you, Morn.
No, not this Morn. Well, the other Morn might have been fine, but he's dead. You never actually see him in this book. You just see. The duplicate's pretty awesome, though. It's a dark elf with bat wings.
Yes, it was a nice and really quite interesting first fight in the game, I think.
Yes, it was. And actually, this is something I like about the book because you get lots of options, and the best option is not necessarily the first option you think of, but then when you do it, you realise, oh, that was good thinking. I can see why that is the best option.
How do you mean?
Well,
you can tell our listeners; they probably know.
Well, the first time I tried to fight it and won, but it was a bit risky because otherwise he could have pulled me out the window and flew. But the second time I tried to avoid him and run away, and when I did, he chased me into the council chambers, and then since he was surrounded by a bunch of councillors, they all overpowered him without any risk to me. So we didn't have to fight him. We just ran to get the councillors, and they all helped.
Yeah. Following which, the council continued their meeting and decided that yes, something is probably a bit fishy about the whole affair. Smart council, that very smart.
It is, yeah. So when a winged dark elf turns up trying to kill one of the councillors, then they realise there's something. Yeah. That's probably one of the smarter sort of groups of elected representatives I've ever come across in fiction and in reality, I think.
I think so, yeah. Well, based on their recommendations, we started on our journey. My character rather dreaded going into the forest, probably because he feared that the forest would hold all kind of evil spiders and possibly wizards. I suspect Radagast the Brown, of course. But that's simply me. I always fear Radagast the Brown. What can I say?
Well, yes. Well, you should always, I suppose. It's yes.
So, without access to anyone who could provide me sufficient anti-wizard warding, I decided before leaving town to visit our local astrologer, a powerful mage himself by the name of Liam.
Yes, exactly.
Obviously, Tim was busy, so we spoke to Liam instead.
Yes, too busy blowing up blowing things up, basically.
Is Liam a good name for a powerful mage?
I don't. I think it's probably the first time a powerful mage has been called Liam. I think it works. I mean, the second. I think his surname sort of made him have to be an astrologer because his name is Liam Astromonius. So it's
yeah.
But yeah,
It's
I
like
think
you can't really front load a name with a surname like that. You kind of have to put the first name as almost an afterthought, and then put your surname. That's the strong one, I guess, for him.
Yeah, exactly. So, but but Liam's a good guy. He comes through. So,
So in order to aid us, Liam summoned a Suma, a messenger being of the gods that I only happen to recognize because earlier this week I read the entry on them in Out of the Pit.
Oh yes, brilliant. and
entirely by accident.
Yes, and with the sort of yes, compared to the Nanka with a skill of 12 and stamina of 20, which is the evil genie, and the neutral genies with also a skill of 12 and a stamina of 20. The Suma has the groundbreaking stats of a skill of 0 and a stamina also of 0, because they can't fight; they can just send messages. So,
is that phenomenally powerful or not powerful at all?
Well, it depends how you look at it, I guess. I guess it's a bit like Obi-Wan Kenobi, isn't it? It's like, when Obi-Wan Kenobi was alive, you do lightsaber battles.
True.
But then he claimed to be more powerful than Darth Vader could ever imagine, but he was just a disembodied voice. So
yes,
I guess that's what they're going for, isn't it, with the Suma? It's like, yes, he's super powerful, but not in a way that sort of kills the bad guys for you.
Well, this Suma was fairly helpful in an advisory kind of capacity. They told me to keep a hold of an amulet if I want to succeed in my quest, and that I should seek out a Cornu witch. I'm not quite sure how much of how corny she was going to be. Possibly tell me a few really bad Christmas themed jokes. Just read out some of the ones from trackers. Those are particularly corny. But I said yes, I will go and find this corny witch.
Yes, exactly. Well, here's another clever Keith Martin thing. I don't know if you got to this bit, but actually the Suma didn't give the most important clue in that section.
Oh,
I guess you didn't. Well, it's something that Liam does that's the most important clue.
Oh, do tell.
Well, he performs the sign of summoning and raps on the crystal 3 times. That is a clue to I found a place that needed that to get into it.
Stealthily placed just casually in the text.
Yes, exactly.
That's nice. I like that. That is cool.
Yeah, so Keith Phillips is very good at sticking random sort of clues in there like that. So So I also visited Liam, my friend Liam, and then we went off.
Yes. Onwards, out of the city and trader. A preemptive attack on him.
And how did that go?
Well, I learned that the trader was not only an innocent, honest merchant, but also a highly skilled ninja.
Yes, because
he threw a glass jar of poison gas at me and vanished into the distance.
Oh, that's pretty impressive considering he's got a horse and cart as well. So
yes,
but there we go.
God, yes. I very much realized that was not a trick.
No, well, yes, it's a problem because it's like, oh, he could be a doppelganger. That's the problem with doppelgangers in games. It's like when you meet one, you start thinking, oh, is everybody I meet a doppelganger from now on?
I
And then
think I think they knew that when they're writing this one.
yes, it's very clever. It's adds a lot of tension. It's better than just the old, oh, should I take the left passage or the right one?
So you bought quite a few useful items from the not doppelganger, I'm guessing.
I did, yes. Yes.
Were any of the items a doppelganger?
No. Well, this is when it gets a bit. This is when there's more going on because there are these numbered potions, these ingredients that the Morn replacement also had a few, and I remember them being very important because they're ingredients to a very special potion that you need to actually succeed. So I bought some dried chameleonite blood because I realised that, well, chameleonite sounds a bit like a shape-shifting type of thing.
It does kinda, yeah.
Yeah, so I bought that. The Pegasus feathers, I didn't buy those. I remember them being a red herring, which is a shame because you can get yourself Pegasus wings, but that leads to an instant death, which is a real pain because it's Pegasus wings. They're cool. You get Pegasus wings on your back. So I bought chameleonite blood, and then I bought the love potion, but I think that was the wrong thing to buy.
Was that another red herring, you think?
I think so, yes. But yes. Oh no, I didn't buy the dried chameleonite blood. I just realised there was someone on the Morn doppelganger. But I think I bought the love potion instead. I think I should have bought the sleeping draft. But there we go.
Never worry about our shopping lists. We will see how they went. You then had a few options on how to head to Sardath, which route to take, and what did you choose?
I went northeast, which I'm just having a look at that. Where did that take me? I think it took me into the forest.
I travelled via river.
Yes.
So it looks like our journeys diverged at this point, eh?
Yes, exactly. So what happened in the river?
Well, river. I had my own boat all ready and waiting for me, which was nice.
Good. Yes, you're a very well connected character in this book. It's like you're not some kind of nameless sort of adventurer that sort of wanders around not doing anything. You've actually got friends and possessions and things. It's like you've been fleshed out as a character.
It's like they prepared a boat for me. Are you sure you weren't meant to go on the river?
I don't know. I didn't get far enough to find out. But,
so I hopped on the boat, started the journey into the forest, the whole Heart of Darkness routine, and sailed around an old broken rope bridge. Eventually made camp for the night. And I was watched from the forest by evil glowing eyes. I note they're never evil eyes unless they're glowing, you see.
Well, exactly, yes.
And I was then told to note down the paragraph number as well, in a circle on my adventuring sheet, if I just wanted to ignore the eyes and go to bed. Which was an oddly specific instruction that I should circle the number, so I chose that option. And I was certain to set a campfire first, just in case.
Just in case. So, I can't remember the campfire. Campfires are tricky because either you repel a bad creature or you attract a bad creature with campfires normally.
Yeah, which do you think I did?
I expect you attracted one.
I attracted a giant spider, yes. It spat its webbing at me.
Curses.
Which is not quite how spiders make webbing. They don't just spit it at you. But it's fine. It's a children's book. It's fine.
Yes, exactly.
Fine. Yeah.
So yes, yeah, Keith Phillips probably didn't do spider anatomy research whilst researching this book.
It's all fine. Anyways, we turned to the paragraph we were told to circle earlier on and continued to sail down the river. So I think the thing they were doing with the paragraphs there was to see just kind of if that was going to generate an encounter at the camp at night or not.
Yes,
possibly.
I vaguely remember that. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how it worked. That's just kind of my vague understanding of it from having read. I'm not quite sure on the mechanics. What do you think of it?
So I'm thinking from what I remember that it's kind of this sort of a branch and bottleneck idea. The idea that you can go and do lots of things on the first day, but then whatever you do, you sort of have to go to a certain section on the second day. So it's kind of his way of getting around the idea that you might have done one of many things. That's what I think it was. I think it was more of a mechanical thing than what's going on. So
that would make sense. Yeah, I like that. So in that case, I'm guessing that you kind of did the same thing with the numbers.
I'm vaguely trying to remember. So I'm going through. I went to a forest and decided to swing on one of the creepers, which wasn't probably the best move, but I did a skill roll, but succeeded because I had a skill of 10, so that was pretty decent. Good. And so I realised at the last minute it was going to be strangleweed that I was going to get hold of. So I leap out of the tree and crash onto the ground rather than try and grab the strangleweed, which is good, I suppose. It's like the least worst option. And then I actually make it to the elf village, which is good because I have an elf friend called Sorrel, who the sort of book described as my friend. I think he taught me how to use a bow, and yes, he taught me not to fear the forest and respect it. And he also taught me swordplay, and he's got a scar on his right eye as a testimony of the swordplay he taught me. But he's not. So I see him, and he's not very friendly. He's got 4 elves with him, and they're all pointing bows at me. And he's sort of telling me I'm an imposter. And it's very scary. So I look at the image, the picture, and this is another clever thing that Keith Phillips has done. I look on the picture and I realise that Sorrel in the picture has a scar on his left eye.
Ah, yes.
I think, is something fishy going on? So that's when I have the option to either shoot him, try and prove who I am, or run. So I just shoot him, having spotted the... it's either an artist's mistake or it's a clever clue, and it's actually a clever clue.
I have the feeling it was a clue, yes, because it was around this time when they started putting a lot of the some of the clues into the illustrations. Oh,
they loved it. They loved it in the sort of late ones, and sort of you had puzzles to do and various things in the illustration. So yes, it was a clever clue to show that Sorrel wasn't actually Sorrel. And so I miss Sorrel, but then I realised that if I test my luck successfully, I turn that to a hit. So I actually hit Sorrel, which was lucky. And as I do, he turns into a dark elf, and the 4 elves that were about to shoot me with arrows sort of turn on the dark elf instead. So that was pretty good. And I get a 7-coiled snake ring from someone called Bistort.
I think you've done better than I did on the first day.
I think possibly not wanting to sound big-headed, but
just a little. So second day, let me see. Started off cleaning some of the weeds off the boat. Some of the weeds tried to eat me and drain my blood. Apparently, it's a plant called bloodweed, which is probably not particularly nice. No. Not sure who it is that's responsible for the gardening around the river here, but there you go.
not doing a great job. I
Yeah.
guess.
So I hack at some foliage with flora, fauna, flora. Yes.
Flora, yeah.
Yes, with so basically I hack up some plants for a while with my sword, and for a moment I suspect this is a bit of an idiot test, where if I choose to chop it up with my sword, I'm going to make more bloodweed. But no, eventually I do manage to kill it, which is lovely. That's the start of my second day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Gardening on your second day. Awesome.
Yeah. Not the most like positive start to the day, but yeah, what can I do? I think I've figured out the book isn't going to be one of those that rewards being played cautiously. So really, from that moment that I catch sight of one of the any of the forest-dwelling critters that's been following me, I fire a hail of arrows at it.
Oh.
Yeah. It runs off, and I'm told that a little bit of the dark nature of the forest has come to rest inside me, which costs me a luck point.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. So yes, I love it when authors arbitrarily punish you for going against what they think is right or wrong. It's...
Well, I mean, I did just randomly attack someone that I couldn't quite see, but who wants to play things cautiously?
Well, exactly.
Yeah, possibly me from that point on. Didn't quite go as well as a group of little frog people armed with spears hurried up and surrounded me, and I was asked to test my luck.
Oh,
that was the luck that I had just lost a point of. So I was unlucky. The frog people screamed and hurled all of their spears at me, which was not nice. I got impaled upon many spears. Did manage to survive, though, with a whole 5 stamina points remaining.
Oh, wow, that was lucky. So
I didn't feel particularly well with that. So I hurried back to the boat, given the chance to kind of do so. They gave chase for a while, but they eventually got bored and let me go. And that was the second day of my misadventures.
Oh, nasty! It's sort of going downhill.
Just a little bit, yeah.
But you survived your second day, which is more than what I could say.
Oh no.
Well, yeah. So, after meeting Bistort and his pals, I sort of went off into the forest, and what I found was sort of 2 winged dark elves trying to get into a building, which is quite interesting. So, see, I played cautious, so I remembered what happened. I sort of decided that, well, apart from the fact that I knew it, I also decided to not attack them straight away, because they were sort of trying to get through a door that seemed indestructible. And I remembered what happened if you just wait. And if you just wait, one of them pulls out a vial, which is smoking, throws it against the door, it explodes, and completely obliterates the dark elves. So once again, you sort of deal with a problem without having to just sort of kill either of them or fight either of them, which was pretty good. But the door is completely spotless. So this is kind of what is this door, and what's behind it, to have this like kind of indestructible door. So I'm given some options. So
yes.
This is I like this, because this is another case where it might sound illogical, but it's not. So you can either think of a password, search for an opening mechanism, or break down the door with your sword. Break down the door with your sword that you just saw 2 dark elves try to sort of blow up and fail.
Break down the door with your sword. Obviously.
Well, exactly. So I hit the door with my sword, and it says nothing happens. And this is where it happened, and this is what happens next. So you say, so the
Hit it again.
Hit it again, yeah, hit the door again, and then it says, do you want to hit it again?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Exactly. And
Why would you
what?
not?
Well, exactly. You hit it a third time, and it opens because you've just performed the sign of summoning.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, exactly.
see, wanton aggression is how you win these games. Like, just attack everything in sight. Doors, members of the public, traveling merchants. It all works out in the end.
Well, exactly. One of them's going to be a shape-shifting dark elf eventually. So
eventually, yes.
Yeah. So that's what you do. So then this is actually the Tomb of Cornu Witch, and he's wearing the amulet that the sumo was showing off. And there's another picture, and there's a picture of Cornu Witch's wife, and I think she's sort of pointing at the amulet. I think it's another clue.
Oh, you found the witch.
Well, it's Cornu Witch.
Yes.
So I found the witch. With some paintings, and his wife sort of pointing at the amulet, going, "Take the amulet, take the amulet." So I take the amulet, which is pretty good. It's sort of got Roman numerals on the back. I haven't got that far yet, but you have to know Roman numerals to win this game.
Challenging.
It is, yes. But taking the amulet disturbs the ghost of Cornu Witch, so I don't know if his wife was trying to troll me there by going, take the amulet and then I'll watch my husband kill you. But so I sort of succeed at a skill roll to avoid him. And then, so it says if I want to make a run for... here's where you have another sort of puzzle type thing, because it says, you notice a secret door. I notice a secret door. And it says if you ever want to run to the secret door, add 20 to the paragraph you're on. To run for it. Okay, so I was thinking, that's interesting. So I think I better pay attention. But so the first thing that happens is it asks me if I have a silver weapon, which I don't. So then it says I'll have to run back the way I came. That's what it says. So I run back the way I came. So I run to the door, and then I add 30 to the section I'm on. Oh, actually, I run back to the. Hang on. I add. Was it 30 or 20? I've completely forgotten.
I don't know.
I think it was 20. That's it. Yes. So I run to the door, which is locked and looks like an instant death paragraph. But then you add 20 to it because the ghost has come out of its sarcophagus to get to you, leaving the secret door free to go in.
I'm confused.
Okay, sorry. Yes, I that was like one of the worst. That was like a combination of me trying to remember what I did, and
you will encounter much confusion in the siege of Sardath.
You will, definitely. So what happens is the ghost comes out of its sarcophagus. As it does, I noticed a secret door behind it in the sarcophagus. So then the book asked me if I had a silver sword, and it said no. I don't. So then it says the only option I have is to run, which leads to what appears to be an instant death paragraph, because you run to the door, the ghost follows you to the door, comes out of the sarcophagus to get you, and you think, oh no, I've died. But then the paragraph ends with, surely there must be some escape. Surely, sure. And then you think, I'll add 20 to this section. And then it says, now that the ghost has moved out of its sarcophagus, I can get through the secret door. So, once again, Keith Phillips is he's really pushing hard on these puzzles. It's sort of, So I get out for the secret door, and I find a place with some chalices, which I drink and take the golden amulet, which has Roman numerals on the back. It has XX. So that's it has IX. The XX may or may not refer to something you're supposed to do in the future. And it tells me that I can't wear it all the time because I'd lose 2 skill points for wearing this amulet. It's a very big amulet. I know.
How big does an amulet have to be that would cost you 2 skill points to wear?
I don't know. The picture doesn't make it look very big, but it must be like one of those, those disco amulets that people used to wear.
I guess, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I decided not to wear it, partly because I don't want to lose teal skill points, and partly because I know I don't need to yet. So, and then I drink a couple of things from a goblet, and get sort of, I think I get a free skill point at this point, which is amazing.
How have you done so well in this?
Don't speak too soon. Because then, so yes, I do get an extra skill point. I forgot about that. So he's trying very hard to not make you lose through combat. And then I finally take the silver shield and fight a mirror demon, which is always bad news, because if they win one attack round, they kill you. And that's what happened to me. I got dragged into a mirror dimension.
Oh. I
know, it's annoying, but I was doing so well.
The ultimate fate, dragged into a mirror dimension.
Yes, it sort of reflects badly on you, doesn't it? If that's your fate.
Oh dear. So you didn't actually get to Sardath?
I didn't. Well, you don't even need to. You end up in a random castle in a mountain. But I didn't get to Sardath. In fact, no one ends up in Sardath. How did you?
I got to Sardath.
Oh, you got Sardath?
Well, close to it. I arrived. It was under siege, not by an army, of course, but by the force of darkness that permeates the forest itself.
Of course.
We very nearly very nearly stood a chance. I mean, on one of the many rivers that led to Sardath, I caught sight of a small boat that was in ruins and struggling to stay afloat. I helped the sailor to shore. He thanked me, but didn't give me any gold or anything really. And he did, however, it would have been nice if he just gave me some gold. I think just a little.
Yes.
I'm
grateful.
Yeah, well, he probably realized that it's a fighting fantasy book, and he realized he's in the company of an adventurer, so he was probably going to get eaten by something, so he quickly scurried off in the opposite direction. I can't say I blame him.
No, companions in fighting fantasy books don't last very long.
No.
Oh, yeah.
So, the northern regions of Sardath are surrounded by a rocky outcrop. I found a dead dark elf on the outlying area, and the book asked me to roll my skill with a modifier dependent on the day of the week that it was. It seems that the later in the week it was, the more difficult, or at least the more awful the result was going to be. I didn't find anything on the elf, which is probably the best response, assuming how terrible everything else had gone. And I'm just going to presume that the worst response is that it turns into a zombie and eats me.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, in either case, it was starting to get dark, and I'd almost reached the entrance to Sardath proper. The book asked me if I wanted to make camp for the night, and because I was so close to the city, I opted to push on. As a result, a horde of giant winged monsters swung down from the sky and killed me.
Oh, that was annoying.
Yes. It was one of those horrible instant death ones. Death by flying monsters in the middle of the night. Brutal.
Yes, that is pretty brutal. Yes, pretty.
And all because I didn't make camp at night.
So I guess moral of the story is make camp at night.
The moral of the story is no one gets into Sardath alive, apparently.
No, it's the title itself is a bit of a red herring. You think it's all about Sardath being under siege, and you basically go everywhere but Sardath in this book, really. So yes. So we both had sort of quick ends to this on sort of day 2 of our adventure.
Yeah. How did you find the book overall?
I loved it, despite it being hard, because it's such a difference.
It was hard. It was really hard.
Yes, it's sort of puzzle hard, I guess. I guess you can sort of deal with that eventually once you work it out. It wasn't dice roll hard, which is kind of nice. So
I think that's definitely the case. It was more difficult because of the puzzles. The dice rolls I felt were always quite fair. The combat was it wasn't the source of the challenge. None of the stats on the enemies was artificially inflated or anything like that. It was definitely the puzzles that
Yes.
I think atmosphere in it is fantastic, very atmospheric, very well written, both exciting, dramatic at times, real sense of freshness to the writing. Storyline itself fairly simple, pulled off brilliantly. I did notice there were quite a few other routes available. Like yours took you through the forest, mine went through via river, all of which have quite a lot of options with them, which I found thoroughly enjoying.
Yes, exactly. I mean, yes. So I'm just trying to remember other things we didn't come across. You could go to the mountains and meet a very angry sort of lightning demigod who would help you if you say the right thing to her. There's a storm giant. There's some Escher-like architecture that sort of can drive you crazy. There is,
yes.
Yeah, yes. You could make friends with the Slick if you get the dice roll, I think, and also you can make your own magical potion, which is what all those ingredients on the sort of winged dark elf were at the beginning. So there's loads going on, which is and sort of which is awesome. As long as you crack the puzzles, which is hard, but then but it's good because eventually you will crack the puzzles and then win, as opposed to keep playing just to see if you can roll a double 6 one day, just to do that. There's none of those. I think the hardest creature you have to fight is skill 10, stamina 8 in order to win, and you can increase your skill by 1, your initial skill, and you can get a bonus where you increase your damage to dark elves as well. Oh, and you can get an invisible friend. I've forgotten about him. You can get an invisible demon friend if you know what you're doing as well.
See, I didn't know that.
A skill 12 demon friend called Istu. It's a really hard puzzle. I don't even know if it might even be a guess at what's in the author's head puzzle, because
I have issues with those.
Yes, I mean,
I do not like the guess what the author is thinking type of puzzles.
No, it was one of the pictures. It's like a random thing. I mean, I solved it by sort of flicking through the book until I found the section that made sense. So I don't think I've ever actually solved the puzzle. This sort of picture. But yes, so everything's there's all kinds of things going on. So yes, yes, the ending's pretty funny in retrospect, because these things went over my head in the end. So at the end, there's a battle going on, and sort of one of the characters sort of comes and says, "Oh, we're sure to win, so let's go up to my castle to celebrate." So it kind of struck me as a bit weird that. I know, exactly. He's sort of saying, "Oh yeah, let's go and celebrate. Let's just let all these elves and dwarves die just for us, and we'll have a little. We'll sit by the fire and have a little goblet of wine while there's blood being shed right underneath us." So yeah, that went over my head when I was reading it as a youngster, but now that seems a bit off. Not the sort of thing you should do, really. If there's a battle going on, I think that's a bit impolite to not lend a hand.
Do you think you're being lured into a trap at that point?
Oh, well, possibly. Maybe it's a sequel hook. Hook. So
makes sense.
We'll never know, because he only wrote one book. But there we go. Actually, if I can tell you what Keith Phillips is up to, if you.
Yes.
Well, he's that was his only fighting fantasy book, but he's doing something called. He's making a game book with a lot of sort of teenagers, and they're sort of working on the writing and the system and things. So there was a crowdfunding thing for that. It's called A Moral Paradox, So I'm getting updates about it. It's not finished yet, but he's working with a lot of young people to sort of make this sort of game book, which is pretty awesome. And
nice.
yeah. If you go to the page, there's a picture of one of the young people reading Siege of Sardath and sort of getting inspiration. So that's something to look forward to whenever it comes out. It's sort of got anime-esque illustrations. Yes. So if you want to have a look at that, then if you look up a moral paradox, it's on Crowdfunder, so you can have a look at that.
You've all been told. Everyone who's listening, check it out.
Yeah.
Shall we give Siege of Sardath a score?
Yes.
What would you like to give it?
I think I might give it a 4.5 for being unique and based on puzzles, and it's just really. I just found it really satisfying to sort of have these choices that might not sound obvious. It sort of takes you away from what you usually do as an adventurer, but then you think, that makes sense. That's clever.
Yeah.
Like, waiting for the dark elves to blow themselves up, for example, rather than just charging in. So I might even go for a 4.5.
I think it was really brutal, really, really difficult. Which is nice, but the minor flaws like that are easy to forgive. It's a kind of book that does invite repeated playthroughs. I really cannot deny that. I would like to play it again. It was rich, a lot of fun, certainly very underrated in the series. I would meet you with a 4.5 on that.
Ooh. Oh, awesome. So that's a 9 out of 10.
There we go.
Nice.
So, everyone, 9 out of 10 for Siege of Sardath on this week's episode of the podcast of Firetop Mountain. Stuart, what will we be playing next week?
Oh, next week is one of my choices, and anyone who's read Fighting Fantasy will know how I feel about this book. It's Moonrunner.
Yes. Are you sure it wasn't one of my choices?
Oh, it could be your hang on. Oh, I'm not sure.
Because it is one of our favorites.
Yes.
I think it's one of the ones that we both really, really, really enjoy. Oh god, yeah, I'm so looking forward to that. Moonrunner is one of my absolute favorites.
Should we score it now and then?
Well, let's play it first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Imagine it could be one of those things, like one of those things you had as a kid that was sort of magical, and then you saw it as an adult and thought, "Oh, this is terrible." But actually, I very much doubt it. It's not going to be one of those things.
Well, if we tune in, if you, our listeners, tune in next week, you'll be able to hear for yourselves and find out if Moonrunner still holds up after all this time. Does Moonraker, the film, hold up after all this time as well? I don't know.
I don't know. I've not seen that recently. I'd say Moonrunner's going to hold up better than Moonraker. I think.
Well, let's find out, shall we? Everyone.
Should we? Are we also going to do a bonus review of Moonraker at the same time as Moonrunner?
We may as well. Yes. Tune in next week for a review of Moonraker as well. Right. We will meet again next week.
Brilliant. Yes. Looking forward to it.
See you then. Thank you.
See you. Bye.
The podcast from Firetop Mountain is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe, ring the bell and do all the other things you need to do in order to get another season of the podcast from Firetop Mountain.